Hi everyone, my name is Arijana Lukic and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am posting two videos. I filmed two videos. One is about art and what I'm up to and some things about my personal life, which is kind of like a vlog style. But right now I just want to separate these two things together because it's going to take me some time to edit the other one. I want to address the questions that I have about the narcissism workshop, the psychology of narcissism workshop that's coming this weekend, because that's very time sensitive. So I would like to kind of address something here because people keep asking me the question, oh, I got messages. I'm like, oh, is the psychology of narcissism a workshop about healing narcissists, or it's for their victims? Or the other question is, can I send my partner? My partner has all of these. I think she or he is a narcissist, and do you think it's gonna help them? So anyway, those are like the three common questions, but I think they're very valid questions, and maybe I did not explain properly everything in my last video I made about this. But in short, superficially, what I have seen even in Canada is people graduating and getting into a career to help other people. Now, every province has their own regulations, so I'm not entirely sure even in the United States who's a psychologist and who's a psychiatrist. I think you need a PhD and blah, blah, counselor, social worker, all of those things. But one thing I realized that if you are in a capacity of a therapist, some of those people are not required to do any hours of therapy on themselves, which to me in 2021, it boggles my mind. It's like, how can you sit with a client and address their problems and look at their problems and not have experienced you resolving yours? Or looking really deeply within to see where your own stuff is, and family story and life experience and difficulties and all of that. Like, how are you dealing with yours? So I think that's a little bit inauthentic. Personally, that's just my definite opinion, is that it is not very authentic to go and help others if you do not experience these things yourself. Of course, you will never be experiencing everything that everyone else has. But once you find a pathway to you, you're going to start resonating in a different way with others and their own experience and how their life is and their circumstances. But there's like a relationship that's deeper. I think that's necessary. That's absolutely necessary. So the body dynamic system works that everything you learn is experiential, which means that it doesn't matter who's the student and which kind of issues they may have. I mean, of course, you need to have the capacity to learn. If you're completely unstable, like, I'm not even talking about in the same theme, if you are a person who cannot handle group work or anything like that, well, maybe that's not for you. But if you are resourced enough, we all have things from our childhood. We all have things, patterns and triggers and all kinds of things. But what body dynamic is good at is learning us somatically how to connect with those parts of ourselves and experience them, so that how deeply you can relate to that part. Like, how can you tell to your client you're not grounded? Okay. How do you, like, to which level? Being grounded is a general term that it can have levels to it. Are you grounded in this way or in a different way, or how deeply grounded? There's people who are completely ungrounded. Well, I think it's really helpful to experience things yourself so that you can relate to how people are sensing and feeling to a higher degree. Also, taking this as personal development, which is going to guide you to walk from A to B, and you're doing the road, you're doing the work, and you're trying to do the work. So of course, in the group, there's going to be a diverse amount of people, and we all have different circumstances. And that's also beautiful because I can relate to some things inside of myself. It can be feeling in a certain way, but then someone else has a completely different theme arising, and then I can learn from them and through their own experience, but kind of on a different level than just verbally. So that's what somatic psychology is all about. It's that we can relate in a different way. So imagine if you can understand your child in a different way, your partner in a different way, your clients in a different way, children that you work with in a different way. I think that's the beauty of it. And again, I don't believe that it's possible to learn cognitively a material and apply it to others when it has not been integrated inside of your own self. And the beauty of it, that we are not perfect, is that we have things to resolve, even if it's in subtle ways. It doesn't mean like, oh, you have to be a narcissist in order to have an issue. Narcissist is a label, it's huge, and it's very complex. So you can't just say you're a narcissist, but everyone else is not. We have narcissistic traits, and it can be in different degrees. In my personal opinion, at this time, I believe it comes in different degrees, which is kind of the knowledge that we need to learn, and not just putting people into boxes and their unrelational things between each other. So one thing that will come up through this workshop is building compassion for people who have these traits. And because it's going to happen in class as well, like we're going to discover things that we missed as a child, or it's so relational. Like there's a lot of mirroring, there's a lot of support, and the teacher is great. Like the instructor is amazing. He'll be able to put the context into into life. So when people ask me, oh, is this to heal a particular? No, it's for everybody. Like you want to do personal development, this is the course to take. You want to use it for professional reasons, you're still going to do personal development first, because that's how we learn. We learn through ourselves. And one of the reasons why it resonates for me so much, because when I was like 18, I think there was a conscious decision where I told myself, I'm like, well, how am I going to change the world? Like, what is my capacity to change the world? And one of them is like, well, I need to learn how to swim so I can save someone else from the water. I don't say I have to save someone else from the water, but in order to do that in life, you can't just be saving others and you leave yourself behind. So that kind of mentality was already kind of ingrained in me, and I never had this absolute desire, like, I'm gonna save people. Like, it's just never been kind of the track that I was on. I think I like helping people. I think I like to do my part, but not in a sense of like, I feel good because I'm like saving everyone else, but I abandon myself. So that was kind of an understanding that I already had, and this psychology resonates with me because later in life I was like, well, how do I change the world? Oh, well, it's by changing myself. Changing myself means personal development, in learning, digging into my own patterns and my own understandings and personal beliefs and values and norms, and just digging really deep into the relational stuff as well, and unrelational stuff, because we all have something to work on. I don't believe that parents, there's perfect parents. If anyone says, one of our instructors, she says like this, it's like, if you tell me your childhood was perfect, I'm gonna say, oh, well, maybe it was really good and then something happened. Something happened. But to believe that everything was perfect, it's kind of like, like it does raise a question mark, because life is not easy. Everyone has struggles at some point in time of different kinds. And that brings us, like, as complex as we are, it brings us together, and to relate in a different way. So there's a lot to learn, that's for sure. And yeah, Body Dynamic is fascinated for that reason. I went to do that for personal development first, and it just, like, what I've seen, I'm like, wow, I never seen a human being reach another human being in this way. What kind of did for me is that I started learning things about myself that I was completely blind to, because when you live a certain life and you're so wrapped inside of it, it's hard to see from the outside. Like, well, there are certain things that they were hard in my life, very hard in my life, but I thought that was, I know it wasn't normal, but it's okay. Like, it's fine. It's my life. To me, that's my normal. But then you kind of start learning the impact of it, which is different. So my perspective changed on that. It's like, oh, well, now I'm more aware about how my life and difficulties have impacted me, because yeah, it was normal. But when we create this normality around what we live, we lack perspective in some shape and form. And I think that's somewhat true for everybody. Like, we have a little bubble and we're just bouncing in that bubble. So because of these experiences, maybe we're limiting ourselves in some shape and form. And a lot of us actually are limiting ourselves in so many ways, but it's not cognitive and it's not verbal. It often happens in a pre-verbal stage that we have created all of these dynamics that we keep perpetuating as an adult in our lives. So it's not like a rocket science at the same time, because as you learn this material, everything's sinking inside of you. Is like, oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense when you formally accept and want to learn it. So yeah, that's one thing I want to say. The other thing is, no, I don't think you can send somebody to this workshop that needs to heal. Like you all know that it's just impossible to send someone for therapy, for example. You can't say like, well, you need to go for therapy or this person needs it. We can recognize that people need things, but to be supportive in someone going is completely a different story, because even as in the therapy world, you can push your client. This is so far my understanding. You can push a person, but often you always ask permission for that, because the challenge must not be too great. Like if you push them, like don't push them off the cliff. That's what I mean. So when you ask someone to go for a course or to take something, they have to have enough will inside of themselves and enough willingness to change their outcome in their daily life, and recognizing that maybe they're doing or experiencing something that's been negatively impacting connection and relationships, that whether it can be like family life or it can be work-life balance or any of those aspects, or like personal relationship with their own selves. So they have to have just enough will to say, yes, I want to be sitting there and learning this information. Otherwise, I just wouldn't send someone else. Come and do it for your own sake. Like, come and do it for you and learn what it is about. I'm definitely putting a lot of energy and time into bringing Body Dynamic System and their related workshops. And this is a very short one, because usually they're 5 days and more, and they're like long term, but this is like a short 2 days and you still learn a lot. And it's kind of the right time and the right opportunities to just kind of put your feet in those waters and see what it is about. So I just wanted to explain that, because that was some questions I received. And you are always the most important person. In my opinion, we are our own most important person. Like, I cannot stress that enough, because in most situations, if you're in a room, you have to be the most important person. Like, not for everyone else. That has nothing to do with everyone else. It's like you, and investing in your own self, you have a choice to decide to seek and understand and want more, and finding support and all of the sources that are helping you to become a more expanded human being, because we have so much potential, and I find that we are limiting our potential. So if you feel that your curiosity is drawn to this, like, please join us, and then we can experience this together, because I'm going to be a student in a class as well. Yeah, so the link is below. I know it's this weekend, it's short term, it's last minute, but I hope that the understanding is going to be received and more clarifying, I guess, for some people. So yeah, the link is below. You can read the long description. I believe this topic is really, really, really good for North America right now, considering the times and considering how our society has been behaving in the last year and a half or two, or even longer. So yeah, you're welcome to join and send me any questions if you have. My email address is ariana@bodynamic.com. Yeah, so please register and join us for this weekend. It's going to be online. You can be from any time zone you want, as long as you're willing to be there. So you're welcome. Thanks for listening, and see you soon again. And don't forget to subscribe. See you. Bye.